Hi, I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to show you how to put a new twist on the string Easter eggs and turn them into stained glass Easter eggs. This is so much fun, it's so simple and inexpensive, so let's get started. I'm going to start with a water balloon size balloon. If you want bigger eggs, you can use bigger eggs. You can do them whatever size you want, but these are the size that they make the water balloons or bombs out of, and you can usually get 50 to 100 of those at the dollar store in a package. I also picked up my gift tissue there, or my tissue paper, and I wanted the spring color, so again, that's up to you. Now I left it in the package, and I'm going to cut the paper while it's all together, and I'm just going to cut it in squares. You can make these squares as big or as little as you want. I'm probably doing mine about 1.5 inch squares, and by cutting them like that, you've got all of your squares there, and I'm probably going to need maybe 2 or 3 batches of that, and that's it. And if you cut it right down that line, when you're done making your eggs, you can trim that off and still use the rest of your tissue paper for gift wrap or anything like that. So that's kind of saves you. Now we're going to be using Mod Podge. You can use gloss, you can use satin, you can use matte. That's totally up to you. We're rolling it. You don't shake it because you don't want to keep the bubbles in it. And we're going to start by applying our tissue paper. And I'm going to kind of spread these out here so I can see all the colors. Now, one of the things that I suggest is always start working at the bottom, so when you end up at the top, you're holding this little part, because you don't want to put your hands on the tissue paper, because you'll start to lift up the tissue paper and kind of mess it up. So this is kind of real important. Always start at that back part, and I'm just going to put on a square at a time. And I always go underneath it, so it's going to stick to the balloon first and then over the top of it. And we're going to go and just start doing them color-wise. You could use any color combination you wanted to. You can do them all one color if you want to. I'm going to overlap them about 1/4 of an inch. And there's going to be places where you're going to have to overlap them more or less. That's fine. And because these are pretty decent sized squares, because you see on that corner as I'm turning that there, I've got to overlap it a little bit more. And I've got that there, so I could decide if I was going to overlap that there or on the next one. So, and see, by lifting that up, we don't want to do that. You want to make that decision before you put that down. So that kind of shows you how to think about it as you're applying it. So I want all of that on there. I'd rather overlap it and not have a little section, so you have big sections instead. And let your hands a little bit, don't lick your fingers. That'll make those have a little pile of water here. And so you just want to go all the way around and down here. And you don't have to have a lot of Mod Podge on it at this time. Just enough to get that nice and laid down. And I'm going to continue working and work my way all the way up to the top. And so when I'm working up near the top, I'm holding on to it like this. So you still have something to hold on to. If you do it reversed, that's a lot harder. Your fingers get on your paper and you're going to tear up your paper. So I'm going to go ahead and finish applying this to the balloon, and we'll meet up at the top. That went really, really fast, so we're getting closer to the top now, and I'm actually going to cut these down into a little bit tinier squares just to get them up and around, because when you're doing them all those big sizes, you have a hard time making them fit with the curve. So I've got some smaller squares in here. And you could even leave that little bit part up on top out. Now on this one, I'm going to do it a little bit different than I've been doing my other ones. I'm going to make sure that I leave the end of my balloon out so that I can pull the balloon when it's all dry. And I'm going to get one more here. And I'm still using that little first batch I cut, so if you're not doing a big size, that's going to go really, really well. So I've got him all covered up, and we're going to talk about the string we're going to put onto him. And I'm going to use crochet thread, and crochet thread comes in all kinds of shapes and colors. And so there's all kinds of fun colors you can get. And also check your thrift store, because a lot of times you'll find crochet thread and people just don't pick that up like they used to. Another thing that you can use is embroidery floss. On my big one here, I use embroidery floss, but I used a total of 3 complete different ones. And I didn't quite like it as well. It was a little bit heavier. I like the brightness of it, and I like the thickness of it, but when I went to apply it, it moved around a little bit more than I wanted to, so I wasn't quite as happy with it as I was the embroidery floss. Now while this is still wet, you can go ahead and put this on. If it was dry, you wouldn't be able to. You'd have to do another coat over your paper. So make sure we put this on while it is nice and dry. And you're just going to start putting it on all the way around. Now I want my cameraman to zoom in here and see what I meant by touching the paper, how it messes that up. So you want to keep your fingers out of there as much as possible till you have areas where you're touching the string more than you would be the paper, and it'll help hold that into place. And I'm kind of using an off-white. I think this would be really, really pretty. Now make sure you check out some of our other videos. Like I've got displayed on the table, I've got the tea light Easter eggs, and these would really be pretty with the tea lights in those. We'll make sure our cameraman gives you a nice close-up of those tea lights as well, because I think with the light shining through, they'd be a lot of fun and really festive for Easter. And I've also done the cutout eggs, and I think this would be a really, really pretty one with the cutout, the oval cutout, and then the cross put into the opening of the cutout. So you've got kind of the stained glass look for the church windows. So now I'm kind of getting it on here enough that I can hold onto it without messing the paper up. So on these ones, I'll just bring these to the top a little bit more and tighten those up, and I can cut those off so that they're not really tight. And you're probably going to get yours tighter than I am mine while I'm talking. So we don't want to do this one as much because we don't want to cover up all of our stained glass. That's kind of the whole purpose of it, is to show this stained glass effect. So I'm going to be almost done with it here. I'm going to come through in any really wide openings I want. And try not to get a bunch up like this one. I've got a bunch there. You want to keep them as separated as possible if you can. Got a real wide opening there. So one more right there. And I'm going to finish him off. And after you're done with that, we're really going to come in and just soak up our string with our Mod Podge. We're really going to apply that really, really heavy. And just do it all over the Easter egg. And it probably, again, I probably did it backwards. I probably should have started at the top up here and worked my way down so I could hold it at the tip a little bit better, but I kind of will put my fingers in the middle, and then the place where my fingers were, it'll be the last place I apply it, and I'll lay it down on something to dry. Now you want something like this where it's just barely touching a couple of places to dry. But while it's drying, the bottom part won't be as dry because it's not getting air. So pick it up and move it around. And if you want to, you can put glitter on, which I really like the look. I think it kind of even gives it more of a glass stain look. And so I'm going to set mine down there to let it dry. And like I said, keep that part moving. And you'll know when it's dry, it's going to be completely clear. And you're going to have that all nice and done. And this guy we finished up. He got a little tail end we're going to cut. And then we're also going to cut our balloon and start getting that air out of him. And we're going to start to pull on it. Now, if you happen to lose the balloon in there, like I did just now, but you can hear it coming undone all the way to the top. Try not to do that. But if you do, that... Actually, that one's up there. It's not going to come off, so I'm just going to leave it. So just probably be better to poke it with a pin and kind of pull that out, and then poke your, cut it a little bit further as you're pulling it. But if you get it right in here, you can also use your pliers to pull that out anymore, but that's not going to show at all. Now, if I was cutting it out, I could go ahead and finish pulling that out, but isn't that really, really pretty? I think that's just turned out a lot of fun. You can put them on to your candle stands. And like I said, I think with the tea light, they'd be really pretty. Or give you an example of cutting those out as well. I wanted to show you an example of the string eggs cut out, and we do have a video for those as well. So you could take these and turn them into those, and those would be really cute. But also think about putting them on your little candle stands or decorating them different ways that you want to. You also can make a garland and just hang them all the way across, which would be cute as well. So just take what we've taught you today, put your own twist to it, your own ideas to it, and just have fun. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube so we can continue to bring you all of these fun projects. I hope you and your family have a blessed Easter.